Shalom, shalom. First off, I give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, HaKadosh. Yahweh being true name, Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai being named His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls God, and Jesus Christ. We give double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone that taught us truth and will. And salutations to you, hopefully let us truth and honesty and sincerity. This is Brother Yahweh Sop. Good you know, listen to the spirit power of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai. Just a quick sit down through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai. Spirit was hitting me, man. Just seeing the Lord's creation and the beauty of it all. Reminds me that we have a promise, what the Heavenly Father made to us of everlasting peace. And we want to attain that by serving Him, diligently, and keeping our eyes focused on that prize. Because when you see things like, the Lord's, like you see the background of the ocean, the magnificent deep, okay, it reminds you of the very beginning when the Heavenly Father described His creation of the earth, okay, when He created the waters, He created the creatures in the waters, He created the land, okay. He formed the whole earth, and then He formed us. And ultimately, this earth was given to the children of Israel, man. And all those that live in it, are supposed to honor the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Okay, so just want to pull a couple precepts, man. Just going into the reminders of that sentiment. All right, this is the book of Revelation 21. Okay, book of Revelation 21, and we'll start at verse 1. It says, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Yahweh out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of Yahweh is with men, and He will dwell with them. And they shall be His people, and Yahweh Himself shall be with them, and be their God. And Yahweh shall wipe away all tears from the eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away." Okay, so no more pain, no more suffering, in the kingdom, man. Imagine having a whole entire island to yourself, and you can enjoy the sunset, the sunrise, things like that, man. That's our reward. Okay, so we want to strive to that and always constantly remind ourselves that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, but you're only going to obtain that if you serve the Heavenly Father. You live your life the right way. Okay, keeping His laws, statutes, and commandments in consistency. Okay, if you do that, then you obtain that reward, man. Because brothers have been catching hell for a long time. But lately a lot of brothers have been giving testimonies of coming on the up, blessings, man. And right now I'm just in a perfect state of mind just to kind of just enjoy Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua's creation, and enjoy the fruits of laboring for Him. You serve Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, you put Him first, He will reward you. Okay? But if you take your eyes off the focus and you get distracted, you get impatient because you don't like catching the hell, well then there's no promise for you. Okay? Let's grab some more precepts. Just going into it. And a lot of it, man, I'm just typing in the word peace, and a lot of it just starts in Genesis, man. Okay? Jeremiah 29:11, it says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith Yahweh, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." Okay, so the Heavenly Father's thoughts towards us is thoughts of peace, not of evil, not of constant pain and suffering. When you first come into this truth, you're going to catch a lot of hell. That's something that you should learn, that needs to be expected. Okay, because you're being baptized, the renewing of your mind, and Satan, his job is to filter out people, and the way he does that is he tries to punish them, cause them a lot of pain and suffering and afflictions, and just basically hold you down. Okay, so when you are departing from a life that is living for Satan, it's his job, his purpose is to grab you and try to hold you there and see if you can break free from that. So when you first come into this truth, this knowledge of being a Hebrew Israelite, you start keeping the law, statute, commandments, serving the Heavenly Father the best that you can. Okay, there's going to be a lot of things that's just going to happen, a lot of negative shit, and it's going to seem like you just have a string of bad luck, and some people might mistake it as for karma, but no, it's you got to be tested, you got to be tried and refined, you got to be proven. You got to be proven to be of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay? You can't just come into, I know the truth, and all of a sudden everything, you're going to see the light, and everything's going to be all glory, and you hear the church bells ringing. That's not how this thing works. Okay? So you come into this knowledge, first you're going to feel in your heart a sense of overwhelming love and peace and happiness, because now you know the difference between good and evil. Okay, you know that you're in captivity, you know who your enemy is, and you know that you're chosen, and so that's a very good feeling. But what comes with that is, here comes Satan. Okay, he's like, oh, you think you about to get away from me? That's the way you gotta look at it, man. Satan gonna come at you and be like, oh, you think you about to get away? Nah, buddy. He's gonna put you through it. He ain't gonna let you go easily, man. Okay, it says Daniel 12:10, it says, many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. Right, man. Okay, so you have to understand, when you come into this thing, why is there a lot of negative stuff all of a sudden coming towards you when you just gravitate towards the truth? It's not the fact that this is, people say, oh, well, you were involved in this and that. That's not the truth. They don't believe, they don't understand, because they've been brainwashed by Esau Edom that the only way is to go to a brick and mortar church, put on a 3-piece suit. They see stuff like this and say, well, what is that? They don't understand that this is a custom of our people. And being surrounded by Jake currently, where I'm at right now, you get a lot of looks. They're like, what's this guy wearing? If they see the fringes and the blue borders, but in their spirit they're gonna like, that kind of looks familiar. It's gonna catch their eye and attention. This is something that we were commanded to wear when we're prophesying and teaching about the Heavenly Father. But you're gonna be purified, you're gonna be tried, man, and it's gonna happen for a season, because the Lord wants to see if you're really about Him or not. A lot of people be full of shit, and they get involved in this thing because they want to be a part of a sorority, or they want to be a part of a fraternity, and they look at when they get so-called black men, a group of them getting together at some type of club, and they want to be a part of that club. They want to be accepted. They want to feel a sense of unity. They become involved in this for the wrong reasons, and that's not what it's necessarily about. Yes, it is about unity, standing up and being as one as a people, but it's more than that. It's ultimately to give glory to the Heavenly Father, and a lot of people aren't sincere in doing this. This isn't a hangout club, man. Okay? You're becoming a part of a spiritual military. Alright? And the Lord wants sincere warriors that would die for this thing. Not for somebody that can pay their way in and try to pay their way out. It doesn't work like that. Okay? This is Job 34:36. It says, my desire is that Job may be tried unto the end because of his answers for wicked men. Right? Okay, so you're going to be tried for a long time. But eventually, it's balance of this thing. The Lord is going to say, okay, all right, this guy really is about me. And you start serving this thing for many, many years, eventually that's going to start kicking in. And the Lord's going to give balance, and He's going to start rewarding you, man. And once that begins, it's not time to let it go to your head, and think that it's something of you. No, you give all glory to the Heavenly Father, man. So that's kind of what I'm in the spirit of right now. Seeing the beauty of everything that I'm looking at right now is to ultimately give glory unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Alright, this is Revelation 2:10. It says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." Okay? So be faithful unto death, and the Lord will reward you with a crown of life. That's ultimately our greatest reward. That's what we want to strive towards. You got to hold your faith unto death, man. You don't want to give that up. You have nothing else, man. Because eventually, in these times that we're living in, we're at a break of World War III, and everybody's lives is about to be made uncomfortable. So all the physical things that people do have, they're going to be gone, and a lot of people don't know how to deal with that, or how to handle that, man. But if you have that faith, then you always have peace with you. Okay? So, Lord's will, this quick lesson was edifying, but I'm going to go ahead and close out and give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem Kakadash. Give honor to our fathers and elders of Great Millstone, apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and taught us truth and rule well. Salutations to you, hope elect. And shalom.